Still here, still alive. Ivan Zephyr is on the live, and today I want to share with you guys all that I made so far in QuickDraw. I know it's been more than 2 months already since I made the game. I procrastinate a lot, but nonetheless, I made a huge modification on the game. I may miss some feature or function in this video. My mind is in scramble right now with my sudden interest in cars. So please forgive me and enjoy the video. I will go through all the update I made so far, and here is what I changed. I made several modifications in the save and load functions. Now, the save and load function has a hashing algorithm and hashtag before load. First, it will calculate the hashing algorithm, then encrypt the game data alongside the hashing. When the player loads the save file, it will decrypt the file and check if the hash is equal to the recalculated hash, checking its authenticity. If not, it will raise an error. This way, not only it will encrypt the data, but checking if the file is original and not been tampered with. I actually stole this from my other project. I also modified the save and load function so it can have multiple save files. I created a slot for save file, so when player quits the game, it will show the player several available slots. Player can now save files into the slot or overwrite current save into old save. I kinda like this idea because it has some similarity to old games. Next, I did a little bit of changes on the UI. So rather than dividing the screen into the main game screen and upgrade window, I placed the upgrade window inside the game screen and put toggle action into handling open and close of the window. Now, the player has the whole screen for themselves. I stole the cards design from another project. Now I can put an image on the upgrades, making it look like items from the shop. I also added some animation placeholders for the future updates. I want to make it like there's a revolver chamber on the bottom, as well as putting ammo count and money collected. I added border so it looks like you are shooting from a window. Since I made a different UI, there are some to be a little bit of problem. So I added camera movement into the game, making the player to be able to scout ahead or see hidden enemies. To avoid the player getting lost, I put restriction on the camera movement, so it can only be moved as long as the carriage or player inside the screen. For the game to end, I added simple game over screen, so when the player dies, a window will pop out and say try again or main menu. Just like this. Before I continue, I like to say, this is my rhymes, this is my way. If you enjoy the video and enjoy the run, subscribe right now and join in the fun. Sit back and relax, grab some water and some snacks, while we look at the enemies and how they attack. Two types of enemy feels great, but it can get a little boring for a while. So I added a new enemy to the game, a bomber type enemy. Here is how it works. First, it will randomly spawn within the screen with a distant radius around the player. Then, it will throw a bomb at a random angle around itself. Next, it randomly teleports with a distant radius around the player and repeats the process. Since it has multiple steps on its behavior, I made it cycle through the phase with delay. It was complicated and hard to imagine with my feeble mind, so I asked AI to handle this one. But hey, works smarter not harder, right? To give the player a chance, I made the bomb to be destroyed by a click. I also add visual circle on how big is the blast radius of the bomb. To give the player more challenge, I added multiple pauses based on enemy type. Since it based on its normal type, I made the behavior similar, but with a simple twist. I also add a second phase when the boss reaches half HP. For the melee boss, I made it attack the player once, and then step back on a cooldown before attacking again. When it reaches half HP, I make it so it will spawn mini melee in a batch of 10 until it gets destroyed. Next, for the range boss, I made it attack the player at a longer range than normal enemies. And when it reaches the second phase, it will charge towards the player and go melee. And finally, for the bomber boss, I made it throw a random number of bombs between 3 to 5, and when it reaches the second phase, it will throw all the 10 bombs at once before self-destructing. To avoid enemies overlapping each other, I added a collision detection in enemy class, so the player cannot shoot multiple enemies at once and the enemies cannot hide behind the entities. To handle the new enemies update better, I modified the difficulty class, changing from time-based into stage-based difficulty. I made each stage have a duration of 1 minute with every 5 stages spawn a boss. All enemies will get 10% increase in stats as well as max spawn based on stages. And that's all the update I made. I may have missed some, or may not have explained much, but worry not, it'll get better over time. I actually tried to use less AI, trying to challenge myself, and I must say I learned quite a lot. I think it's almost ready to be published, just needed some sprites, music and some cleaning. I'll let you know in the future, so look forward to it. If more you want, you have to find. See you in the next one if I don't lose my mind.